Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me Vulcan. Today I'm looking at a 2v2 on Bystrany. I've never actually played this map before today, but there we go. I'm playing with Soapkip or Soapkip. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, unfortunately. And I'm playing against Kakapi and Giggle. Definitely strange names today, but there we go. So anyway, he asked to play with me, Soapkip, or Soapkip. I'm going to call him Soapkip. He asked to play with me, and I was like, yeah, sure, because basically he just asked me on Steam, and I'm up for it if I'm ready to record, or maybe even to just play a random game or two, which I could potentially record as a replay, like I am with this one. Anyway. The strategy we were going to use for this map is we were going to do a one-sider. A lot of these 2v2 maps are quite big, so I find the best strategy in a lot of ways is to focus on one side of the map. And basically we both decided to start on or in Lima. Now you might think this is a bit of a strange choice because obviously Juliet's the reinforcement point and Lima doesn't have a reinforcement point, it's just the extra points. But basically the idea was that Soapkip would go to Hotel and Golf, and I would attack into Kilo and then go to Echo, hopefully, depending on where the other enemy stands. But basically the idea was that I would hit the middle and he would hit the right side, and then we'd sort of like come together at Echo and sort of help each other out to take out this guy on the right pretty quickly. But what actually turned out happening is I focused my attentions onto the guy on the left because they didn't group up like we did, so I had to sort of verge off in one direction or the other to get the advantage on one side, and in the end it turned out quite well. Anyway, I opt to have my command vehicle back because I noticed he was using an unarmoured command vehicle back here, and I just don't like using unarmed command vehicles at all, so that's why I asked him to get rid of it, and so I could have my own armoured command vehicle there. And then I would protect it with my own chaparrals. So that gives him frees up a few extra points for him on the side. And considering he's going to be potentially taking more places than I am, if I'm just going for Kilo at the start, then he will need the points to use on extra command vehicles. But you can see I'm using my what's called a cheap deck today, and it's basically sort of like a rush deck, but I never like to rush as such. I like to sort of use the units tactically. Rushes in this game are more like the unorganized sort of like rush fast move down the middle of the street kind of thing, whereas that's not exactly what I do. I make sure to use my micro my rushes properly, so they're more legitimate, so to speak, because I've actually thought about what I'm doing. I'm not just getting all the best units and rushing them towards the enemy. And I do have 8 Weasel ones. I've never really used these before this battle, so I wanted to try them out and see how effective they really were. They are very, very small units. If I just zoom in, you can see their size is not very big. Compared to like the Mardas, for instance, and then we've got the rise patterns here. I've got 4 M15 1A2 Itos, and I've got 8 VABs. 4 have Legion in them, and 4 have Chasseurs. I've got the Sultan command vehicle for Kilo. I've got the Lux ground recon, and I've got 2 air recon because it's a large map. I need to cover a large space, and I've got my 2 Gazelle cannons to go with that just in case I need to do anything special. And I've got a V150 90mm on to travel over to the left. This is very similar to the French Sangays you can get, but I don't know, I just had this on my deck for some reason, so I thought, well, why not, let's just use it, see how effective it is. And it turned out to be pretty useful. But anyway, I grabbed this group and I send it to Kilo, and I fast move basically the Weasels and the Mardas and the 8 VABs and the anti-tank to Kilo and up to Charlie. Basically the infantry and the Weasels and the Mardas are going to Charlie to sort of make a quick defense there or attack depending on how quickly the enemy gets there. And this is basically my sort of backup. I've got a Marder Relin 2 to protect the skies, and I've got rise patterns and looks there as well. Now these can kind of take care of themselves in terms of air units because they have the autocannons, so in general, because this is quite a hilly map, you can get away with just using auto cannons on this map as your air defense. But you can see here I move up very, very quickly with my B105 CB. Don't ask why I'm really using this. I would have much preferred to have gazelles, but I just didn't have them on my deck. I just picked a deck that I'd made ages ago, and I was playing with it. So, you know, I was like, well, why not? I may as well just make a play out of it. I soon see his Mi2 US though, and I do chase it immediately with my gazelles, and he does see that, and he does pull back his Mi2 US. But this was something I wanted him to do, because he has no idea what's coming if I force his Mi2 back. And you see I take it as far as actually getting one of my gazelle cannon shot down before he has to stop. So I'm still technically chasing him, and then he's really far away by the time my VABs are actually getting up to the middle of the map, which basically leaves him, if I go to his point of view, no like information about what's going on here. And yet I have 8 VABs, pretty much most of my army here. You see my 4 Itos are heading up onto this hill here, and Soapgib is going up onto the right with his Jaegers and Fuchs to deal plenty of damage straight up with them onto the enemy. And the enemy seemed very, very unprepared for that. I didn't watch him while I was playing because I was too busy focusing on my side. Over here you can see my VABs are quickly pushing up. I have spotted this Tunguska on the left here, and I'm trying to help out Soapgib's Huey with my Gazelle cannon, but I don't want to get too close because of this Tunguska. Anyway, I've got my 4 VABs, 4 with Chasseurs, 4 with Legion, and you can see I jumped them out in front of the Tunguska. That doesn't last very long. And then my Legion with the VABs quickly take out a couple of Conkers and take out this BRM1, which is an exceptional recon unit. That's a very, very good recon unit. It's just it was kind of used in the wrong place there and got caught out very easily. Because he had no recon, he had no idea what was coming out of the middle here, and it really, really caught him out. In the meantime, on the right, the Jaegers and Fuchs are honed in on the enemy against Giggle. But on the left, me against Kakapi, he actually tries to react by sending his T-55s and T-62s towards the middle. I know this is coming because I've got the B-105 here. He does attempt to shoot it down with the Tunguska, but I'm still taking out the rest of his units here. And you can see I do a flanking maneuver with these Wiesels, but they actually run out of fuel right there as I try to move them further up. Because I'm trying to find his command vehicle, and I'm pressing him from the front using these Wiesels around the back, so that if he tries to escape with anything, those Wiesels will catch it out. And you can see here, because they're out of fuel, I can bring in some Pumas, the fastest air units I could, or the fastest air supply units you can get. But the biggest mistake he makes is he just backs off his BRDM straight into my Wiesels, and that dies very, very quickly, and I finish off the last unit in Charlie, no problem. And that leaves me with still my 4 groups of Legion and Chasseurs. My 2 Marders are still alive. I've lost a couple of Wiesels which are routing on the left there, and these VABs which don't have any troops in. I'm literally just sending straight towards Alpha and then round to Bravo later on. Now in the meantime, while all this is going on, I'm having an ATGM war with his T-55s and T-62 MVs, and eventually I split up my M15 1A2 Itos, and I basically each give them a separate target to make them much more efficient. And in the meantime I'm pushing forwards with my Rise patterns, which are a lot more accurate than his tanks, and attempting to take out the enemy. Now there I snipe his Recon, and that leaves him absolutely blind. In the meantime, my Pumas have come in all the way from the left, or over from the right here, and they're going over to fix up my Wiesels. And I'm continuously pressuring him with my Rise patterns here. He has managed to shoot down my Recon helicopter over here in the meantime, but because I have these units over here, they can just see these, so it wasn't too much of a problem. This looks up here isn't actually seeing anything over here, so that's not where I'm getting my Recon from. It's probably just because these tanks have a reasonably good optics. They have they have poor optics, but it's good enough to see what they're firing at. Anyway, because they're all routing, his tanks actually back into my Legion and my Marders. And you'll see, this is where Marders become really effective. I just, like, close range onto his tanks. Just see how this wipes him out. That tank there is worth 95 points. And 2 Marders worth, like, less than half that, just come round behind him and snipe. That is a fully... That tank there has full health. And watch how quick he dies at this close range. And boom. That is definitely something you want to be doing against your enemy. But you don't want to get caught out. Anyway, here in the meantime, the Marder Roland 2 I have protecting the Sultan in Kilo. I used to shoot down his recon helicopter. And if we look at his point of view, he now officially has 0 recon. Look, okay, look at this massive area here. Okay, let me skip back to my view. That's all the units I have that he can't see. And there we go. That is really why he lost the left side. Because I pushed back that helicopter at the beginning, it basically allowed me to position my troops that he had no idea were coming straight into Charlie, and boom goes his CV. And that's left me with 1,152 points. My ally here, Soapkip, is on 500 points, and we're winning by 1,652 to 694. You can see in the meantime I brought my VABs around the back of Bravo. He did actually see them coming, and he did move his Bravo command vehicle more towards his own troops further up here in this hedge line. But I am just going to leave them there for now just to be annoying. And I've got my Wiesels here, which have been resupplied by the Pumas in the meantime to get ready to attack into Bravo. And my Legion are slowly pushing over as well, just to be annoying, and my Marder 1s are coming over to the left a bit with my recon helicopter over here, keeping an eye over India. Now in the meantime, I'm pushing this V15 90mm all the way from my base, which I think I actually forgot about. It's now coming all the way over to India to help out. Now here goes probably one of my biggest moves of the game. I push forward these Wiesels. Now the sole purpose of these Wiesels was to take out his anti-air. I saw his Tunguska there, so I'm chasing that quickly, very, very quickly, and he does manage to get it over the crest of the hill. So I change my aim quickly onto his book, take out his 85-point unit. I know that his command vehicle is one of these units, and it's not here because those are 2 APCs with Conkers by them. It's this unit here. So I quickly, while he's distracted with the Wiesels, come in with these 4 Gazelle cannons and snipe that command vehicle, leaving him with no command vehicles on the left side. If we go to his point of view, he no longer has a command vehicle over here. The only command vehicles left on the map for the enemy are this one here that's been pushed out of Gulf, and this one here that's holding Foxtrot. So at the moment they're only holding a 1-point sector, and our team is holding a 4-point sector, a 2-point sector, another 2-point sector, and soon a 4-point sector as I choose to bring in a command vehicle to fill that in. So yeah, I managed to escape with one of the Gazelles. I actually tried to snipe some Zalo with a couple that was left, but the Tunguska is still alive at this point, so I had to pull back my Gazelle cannon to avoid it getting shot down and just wasting more points. In the meantime, I've fixed up my rise patterns a little bit more with this Puma, and this Puma has been reloading my ITOs over here. You can see after they're finished, I basically send them straight to back to base as quickly as I can to get them resupplied again at the base. The good thing about Pumas is they are very fast, 325 kilometers per hour. I think that's faster than the Super Chinooks by about 25 kilometers per hour, so it's reasonable. But anyway, here I see him pulling out of Bravo. This was actually a good move. By this point though, we were winning by a ton. I'd taken out so many command vehicles, well, a couple of command vehicles, and that was all I really needed to do to sort of break their economy and stop them from bringing in any serious units. Now down here, he does sneak up a Shilka to try and take out my recon helicopter, but this is where my V150 90 comes in handy, and actually managed to get a weapon jam onto that Shilka, which actually leaves it very, very vulnerable, and I just rush it with this 90mm and take that out, no problem. Now in the meantime, I've got my 4 VABs chasing these units up towards Alpha. This is just to keep tabs on where he's going with his units, and I do eventually split them off and chase them in all sorts of directions just to keep up with them and keep my units sort of in the know about where the enemy is. And you can see here I've actually finally called in that command armor to occupy Charlie. Now on the right, the good thing about Soapkib, he's really held on to Hotel properly, and he allowed me to reinforce from here without having to be too worried. Basically, I've got to travel most of my units all the way from Hotel all the way to this left side because I'm working so far away, and that is quite problematic, but he had it defended. Basically, the right side that I needed defended was defended the entire time, and that was very, very helpful and allowed me to really keep up with my reinforcements when I needed to. So anyway, you can see that I've moved my V150 90mm up to the left here, just to keep an eye out. My Gazelle cannon is just sitting around, and this B105CB is going back to base to repair because it did get hit a couple of times by that Shilka. And my Pumas are returning from their resupply to go and give fuel to these Wiesels, and I believe this Puma here is probably going to go back to the patterns to try and finish off the repair there. Now with these M151A2 tows in place, I'm moving my Legion back to Charlie, because if I'm going to have a command vehicle there, I want all the defense I can get. So basically what I'm going to do is use these as the defense basically. And here you can see my Pumas coming, and this Puma's over here repairing the rise patterns. I'm moving my Marder Roland 2 forwards from Kilo to Charlie, and I'm also moving this Lux to help recon Echo. As I saw the command vehicle move in there earlier, I'm using this Lux to try and scout it out, but baiting a couple of faggots to shoot at me, I do just about manage to save the Lux there from being killed with a little bit of micro, and I continue to push it up afterwards further behind his troops. So again, if we look at the way the recon's going for the enemy, they have no idea about any of these troops. Maybe they've just spotted this V150-90 here, which has spotted his motor Shalky, which forces them to go back hiding into a village. But other than that, he doesn't know what I'm doing very much. He can see my helicopters, but he doesn't have any AA on this side or recon, and I do know that because I basically try and bait it out with my BO105CB here. You can see I'm kind of microing it around, trying to bait out any kind of anti-air to shoot at it, and then just to be safe I send up my Gazelle cannon to harass his Zarlos, which if they were supported by AA, this cannon probably would get shot down. So I use it at pretty much max range, harass him, and he just pulls back, and that pretty much gives me the signal that he hasn't got any AA about. Just to be safe, I'm moving up some Itos to get into position to snipe any Tunguskas that you may bring up here. But basically you can see that I've got this Apache that I've snuck in, sitting at the back waiting to take its chance to kill something. Now here my Ito runs out of basically Itos and does get shot, unfortunately, by a BMP-1. My Gazelle cannon's still harassing the area. I'm just trying to make sure as best I can that there is nothing here to shoot this down. And with my M151A2 Itos running out of missiles, I have to get them resupplied at some point. So with that being pretty much safe, I pull up my Apache and try and go for a couple of Hellfire shots. Unfortunately, both of them miss. This Apache was not as accurate as I remember. They've actually upgraded the Apache, given the ATGM's 12 accuracy, but you can see they still miss. Like, they do fire very, very quickly, which can be a problem sometimes. But you can see that it's missed 4 out of 5 shots so far. And luckily it does hit that T-55 AMV just before he managed to get that back. So he does lose another important unit there. Now I thought this was an AA unit at first, but then as he continued to fire, I realised it's just an inaccurate rocket artillery. Now, I was a bit curious as to why he had a very inaccurate rocket artillery unit, because they're not very useful. But I move forward a cannon to try and harass this T-55. Unfortunately, the machine gun on top of him actually seriously damages my Gazelle cannon. Fortunately, I managed to get it out of range before it gets shot down, and I do manage to retreat that, just about keeping it alive, even though it is like seriously on fire. Jesus Christ. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, so after resupplying these Wiesels, I'm basically moving them towards the area where those BMP-1s were, and my Puma is coming over to the left here to resupply the ITOs. Now my command armor in the meantime is going over to Bravo. This is because I wanted to be able to reinforce from my side, but that really wasn't to be. I've had to bring back my BO-105CB. This is from base. Both my Wiesels get destroyed, unfortunately, by the motor Strelky that were in here that I didn't actually notice earlier. But it seems as though there were, so they managed to pop both of my Wiesels, which actually have no armour. So if they do get caught out by infantry, they are pretty much slaughtered most of the time. But here you can see I'm moving over to get the reinforcement point from Bravo so that I can attack more effectively into Alpha. But this is the biggest oh shit moment I've had in a long time. I didn't spot his Vizakari. Yeah. That is what happens when you do not recon towns. That's 220 points I literally just threw at the enemy. And yeah, okay, we're winning in a sense because like we've got absolute map control, and 2,500 points to 1,700 is still like an 800 point lead. But the point is, I should never have done that. That was an absolutely stupid move. But I really got caught out because I saw him retreating earlier, and I assumed there wasn't anything in the area. My recon helicopter obviously didn't see them because they're hidden in houses. So I should have sent really at least a ground recon in there first to check that out. But unfortunately I didn't. In the meantime though, Soapkip's having a hard time on the right defending against the complete non-stop onslaught of the enemy. But he does a very, very good job to basically stop them from overrunning his position. And he does have 7 AML-60s here. Used to be 8. But it looks like one got popped, and he is heavily barraging this area that we spotted earlier with the HGMs in it. So here you can see he eventually brings over his Tunguska. I do kind of force him to by using the Apache, but to no avail. As soon as he moves it forwards, I use my BO-105CB at max range to spot it, and then the ITOs shoot it with their HGMs, and also managed to snipe a BMP-1 that was apparently trying to support the Tunguska. But with that Tunguska gone, that's the one that got away earlier, I know that he has no AA left, and therefore it's time to go harass with the recon helicopter and the Apache. I moved my Puma back to base because it's obviously ran out of HGMs for these ITOs, and by moving this recon helicopter forwards, I spot numerous units, and I'm trying to snipe them as quickly as possible with the Apache there. However, I don't want the Apache firing at these basically useless units just yet, so I do turn off the Hellfire for the moment. So now what? He's got an Mi-24A to try and counter my Apache in the air. Now that is kind of a good idea, except for an Apache would kill a Mi-24A in close quarters combat. It's just I don't want to get caught out by focusing too much onto this. So what I've done is I brought forwards this Marder Redden 2 from Charlie. I no longer have Charlie secure because obviously I moved the CV to Bravo, but he has decided to bring in an Mi-24D to help him over this side. And with my continuous harassment with the Apache, I actually forget to turn on the Hellfire again then, and his T-55 AMB does get away. But it does force him to like try and push me back with his own helicopters. And while he does manage to micro both of these back for now, he gets caught out later on because I'm basically baiting him with my helicopters and hoping he'll mess up at some point and get shot down by my Marder Roland 2s. In the meantime, at the back you can see I've brought in another command vehicle to secure Charlie, give us some extra bonus points, and I'm not going to make the same mistake of sending it to Bravo. I'm just going to have to live with bringing it off the right side of the map. And I've also got 4 mortar carriers coming in there, the upgraded ones. But as he tries once again to push forwards onto my Apache, my Marder Roland 2 hits both of their helicopters with rockets and shoots both of them down with the help of the Apache. Now with that threat gone, I'm seriously secure to just finish the job really. In the meantime, I've been moving this V105 or 150 up the left here, all the way from down here. Just moved it all the way round to get ready for a ground assault with it. I've still got my Marder Roland 2s back here, my rise patterns back here, but I never really needed them, so that's why I've never pushed them forwards. I'm literally just microing with the Apache at the moment. I love doing so. And here I spot the opportunity to get an extra 100 points on the enemy by destroying their FOB. Now, if you didn't actually know this, you can destroy FOBs as long as you don't capture them. You can land by them with helicopters to capture them, but basically it's better to destroy them because they give you points. Now here I brought in a couple of squads of Fernspar just to try and clear out these Vidakari, but he does manage to snipe one of my Fuchs before I release them from the vehicles, so basically he destroys a whole squad before they even jump out, and left with 10 versus 20, they're a bit outnumbered, and unfortunately I lose that there, but I'm not too concerned about that, and I do get the 100 points from the FOB anyway, leaving us on 3,275 points to 2,307 points. Now when I play a 2v2, I normally do 3,000 points starts, both players have 1,500 and 3,500 point win, so that's what we're aiming for here. So we've only got another 225 points to go. In the meantime, looks like Soapkip's actually pulled back from Golf and is just really setting up a defensive line until I finish the game on the left. Now with seeing his presence in this forest and nowhere else, I pretty much just decide to pepper it with the mortars with a really uncorrected shot, and that's kind of a good thing because it just basically spreads out the missiles, makes him have to move his troops around and be unorganized. I don't know why he moved his T-55A and B forwards there, but he did, and it got sniped by my Apache. I guess it's probably because he just can't see it, so he just assumed it wasn't there. But Recon, honestly, he could have done with pushing this UAZ forwards first, but then that probably would have got sniped too, so at least it would have been less points. Anyway, my V150 is moving up the back. It's actually very, very low on fuel right now, so I am very wary of the time I have left with this vehicle to finish the job. I do know that he has a rocket artillery in there that could potentially be worth a lot of points, so that's pretty much what I'm searching for with this vehicle here. Now I don't want to get caught out by any tanks that may be left over in there, so I do put it back until I get better intel. But he does look like he's a bit desperate to shoot down my air vehicles here, and does decide to bring forwards a Shilka. But unfortunately, with the HGMs of an Apache, the Shilka's not ever going to really last very long, and as he fires the next barrage of his rocket launcher, it gives his position away. My Recon comes in the back, 130 points plus 30 from the Shilka, finishes the game, and that's a victory for me and Soapkip versus Kakapi and Giggle. Now they both played reasonably well. It was a fun game, I really enjoyed it. Kakapi, I think I just called him out in a lot of ways because I pushed back his Recon at the start. It really snowballed from there, and without the information that he needed on my troops, it kind of left him in the dark a lot because my units are small in general, so they're hard to see, and with that I just overran him in the end by using different tactics that I have explained. On the right side, Soapkip did a very, very good job of holding the hotel to make sure I could reinforce and didn't let Giggle get too far forwards. So overall, very good game. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope the tactics have been insightful and maybe you've learnt something from this. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.